Vinny Goodwill, among the many things I love about you, and I love your shirt, among the many things I love about you is you have an excellent nose for BS. When you smell BS, you call it. Like you know it. You got a sixth sense for it, right? So I'm reading these stories because the other day I told Michael Holley, I said, man, and this was after Kyrie basically doubled down on he's not getting a shot for basketball. I was like, the Nets are destined to be one of the greatest what ifs of all time. Whether it's injury, Kyrie being part-time, or whatever, I see them being like, hey, what if they had been able to, play together, right? Now I'm seeing these articles first in The Athletic and then on Bleacher Report about James Harden wanting to be a free agent, frustrated with Kyrie's part-time status, frustrated with Steve Nash's rotation, not wanting to live in Brooklyn. And then I'm seeing how Daryl Morey is holding out on a Simmons trade so he could flip him for Harden in the offseason. So here's where the BS comes in, and I want you to filter through for me. Is this just Daryl Morey posturing and using the knowledge of his connection with James Harden to try to smoke out the best possible offer by the deadline? Or is there fire, excuse me, Vinny, where all this smoke is around both Morey holding out and Harden having a wandering eye and wanting to leave Brooklyn?
I think these are two separate issues, but I'm with you on at least this. The fact that there is no market for Ben Simmons, when you see all these stories coming out over the past week about what other teams were offering for Ben Simmons, which I don't believe to be true at all. None of that stuff actually makes sense from some of the teams that you were hearing about and some of my people around the league. But I do believe that there's legit interest from James Harden to Daryl Morey's team. Now, I don't know if it'll work or not, but I will say this. James Harden enjoyed the greatest freedom of his basketball life when Daryl Morey was the basketball executive. And as crazy as Philadelphia is, it's a million times more stable than it is in Brooklyn right now. The problem is, why would either team help each other? Why would Brooklyn help out Philly? Why would Philly help out Brooklyn? You've never, to my recollection, seen two teams that are on similar tiers, that are on similar championship tracks, in the same conference, mind you, try to help out the other to get over that hump. So I don't know if any of this is truly realistic. I will say this. I did hear from a source that I genuinely trust who knows Daryl pretty well, and he's led to believe, he leads himself to believe that there is at least some smoke to James Harden having legit interest in Philadelphia. Now, here's the thing. Philadelphia doesn't have any cap space. The only way that anything can get done as far as James Harden going to Philadelphia in the offseason is if Brooklyn helps out as far as taking Ben Simmons. And who's to say that Kevin Durant wants to play with Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving? I know Kevin Durant ain't the greatest GM. You know what I mean? Kevin Durant, the GM, Kevin Durant, the friend, might be portraying Kevin Durant, the basketball talent. But that's a lot to ask, bro. Come on now.
Hey, man, and listen, right there, that situation, that is a situation for Uncle Ruckus. Give Uncle Ruckus that situation. Let him opine on that, and then we'd have some interesting content.
But the Harden part kind of troubles me, though. And even though, like you said, he enjoyed great freedom with Daryl Morey in Houston. But when Houston was trading him, I believe he chose Brooklyn. It might have also been the better package, but he chose Brooklyn over Philadelphia when Tillman Fertitta reportedly brought him those two trade packages. You mean to tell me is it that dire in Brooklyn behind the scenes? Is there that much? What do you know about the frustration level with Kyrie being part-time? Or, I mean, they played together twice this year and I think 16 times overall. Is this relationship over before it really got started? That's the troubling thing to me. The idea that Harden, I know this is hilarious to you, Michael, because you saw it all coming. You saw these three not coexisting. Is it as bad as this report from Bleacher Report makes it look?
The friend of, just because you my homeboy's homeboy don't mean that you my homeboy. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't all have friends of friends that it seems like on paper we would get along with, and you get it, and the math ain't mathing, right? And I'm not saying that that's the case with Kyrie and James Harden, but think about this. when Kyrie played his first game and he was asked, or James Harden was asked after one of those first games about Kyrie, he said, I will inject him myself with the vaccine. Mm-hmm. That just shows his level of frustration. And then a couple days later, Kyrie Irving is like, hey, y'all, I don't know why y'all keep asking me this. I'm standing on this. Now think about it.
I'm rooted in this.
Right.
I'm rooted. I remain rooted in my decision.
Right. He's rooted in his
like
decision.
A tree by the water.
Now think about it. We all could have predicted that maybe Kyrie Irving wasn't going to take the vaccine when we didn't have one. You know what I mean? When a year or so ago, a little over a year or so ago, we didn't have really a vaccine. And James Harden was presented with these two options. Theoretically, playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving takes a lot of pressure off of me to do the ball handling and creating everything else. If I go and play with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, I still got to do a decent amount of heavy lifting because Ben Simmons can't shoot, won't shoot. Or even if Ben Simmons isn't there, I have to do a heavy amount of lifting because who knows how Joel Embiid's body is going to hold up in this situation. And I'm going to his team as opposed to this being my show. So I think when you take a look back in hindsight, the circumstances were different. And you can look at it and say, hey, man, this ain't what I thought it was going to be. Kevin Durant is going to be out for a few weeks. Kyrie Irving, we don't know when he's going to be there. I don't know if I can trust this coach relative to Doc Rivers. You can have some buyer's remorse.
Yeah, right.
Even though I don't think that Doc Rivers is as great of a coach as he was, he is still more experienced and seasoned
and
than
more
Steve
credible
Nash
for
is
sure.
Right now.
For sure. So basically, it got information. And Michael, it sounds like what we're saying here, I'll pass it to you now, is like KD and Kyrie are homeboys. Kyrie and James Harden, they work together. Like it's a friend from work, you know. That's what that relationship is.
Like they go up to him and go, "Hey, Harden, man, what's it like to play with Kyrie? He all right. Why you got so much enthusiasm? He all right. I mean, hey, cool, whatever. Change the subject.
Can't say that. But he can't even say that because he don't know what it's like to play with Kyrie Irving. He can
barely say that. Yeah. Oh,
that's right.
Oh,
but you know, you talk about what it was supposed to be and what it is. The game tonight between the Nets and Lakers, Vinny, and this is supposed to be the return of Anthony Davis. Is this where I'm skeptical? You know, we talked about this last time. I'm skeptical about the Lakers making this run, but is this their chance to prove, okay, we got Anthony Davis, LeBron playing at a high level. Here we go. Do you expect to see some type of dramatic increase from the Lakers?
Y'all remember that board game back in the day, Operation? Well, whenever you touch something, that's Anthony Davis. Yeah. As soon as you touch something.
That's not fair. That last injury, come on, man. That was so, come on. You going to blame him for somebody crashing into his legs?
Give me some more. Give me some more. Give me some more one-liners. I like that one. I like that.
It's not blaming him, but here's the thing. Like, here's what I will say. Y'all ever have a homeboy that always seemed to be in some nonsense? No matter what it was, there was always a story. There was always a reason behind it. One day I had to pull him over after bailing him out of, the county and saying, bro, you can't be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Trouble just find him.
All the time.
Yeah,
injuries
all
just
the places,
happen.
all the time.
Always.
Injuries just happen to find Anthony Davis. Like, you can't really pinpoint it and say.
Bro, I thought she was single.
See, you ain't right.
Then her man came in,
See, I'm not blaming Anthony Davis. I just think he's built awkwardly. He's 5'10" and grew to be 6'11", and that usually means that some things are not going to grow, as naturally as some of your other giants. And I'm not saying he's going to get hurt again, but when you hear that he wasn't in the best shape coming into last year, and that contributed to his problems, and you're starting to see this year, you're not even seeing the production when he was healthy. My thing is, what leads us to believe that Anthony Davis is going to be as assertive as his talent demands? His talent demands that he should be Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, at least if nothing else on the defensive end, to be that way consistently every night. We don't see it every night because when we do see it, we say, man, Anthony Davis has such a great effect on the game, but we only see it in bits and spurts, and that's not what this Laker team needs. This Laker team needs for him to be the best team. This Laker team has Taylor Horton-Tucker and Carmelo Anthony and Avery Bradley. You know what they are? They are the island from the land of misfit toys. That's what they are. And LeBron usually puts those pieces together, except he can't this year because LeBron, the GM, didn't help out LeBron, the player.
Chuck. They stuck like Chuck.
They are stuck. You tell me what Russell Westbrook is going to do besides come off the bench in a way that can help the Lakers. You tell me what Anthony Davis can do if he's healthy. If he's healthy, you've got to tell me how consistently he plays to help this Lakers team, because I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, man. I want to ask you, the Lakers, they got their problems, so let's move on from them. Let's talk about a team that is still, Vinny, I'm shocked. About 50 games in, I keep waiting for Cleveland to collapse. I thought they'd be a nice team this year, up and coming. No way I thought they'd be 10 games over 500 and really a top 4 team in the East. What's going on with Cleveland, and how far do you think they can go?
I just mentioned Tim Duncan and the breath of Anthony Davis, right? They got a rookie over there. Evan Mobley, that could be Tim Duncan. He is real. He is legit. That kid is going to change lives. And I live in Detroit, where the Pistons picked Cade Cunningham, and I don't think there's any necessarily regrets on that side, but Evan Mobley is legit. And Darius Garland, who spent a couple of years figuring things out playing next to Colin Sexton while those guys were rebuilding post-LeBron, and he was able to sort of develop quietly. And now you're seeing him firmly in the All-Star conversation. And you're seeing Kevin Love be productive. And you're seeing J.B. Bickerstaff, a man who's playing Mary J. Blige in the shoot-arounds, and his young team is like, hey, we don't know who this is. They literally said that. Somebody literally said, we don't know who this is, and he was playing Mary J. Blige. Yeah. Just some kids, right? But here's a situation where we talk about coaches. Coaches all the time will tacitly whisper to writers, I won't be able to coach this team until I have my guys, until I have my players. You mean to tell me that J.B. Bickerstaff got his players when he don't have a small forward on the roster, when his small forward is either Kevin Love or Lauri Markkanen? He is using the players to fit. He is using his philosophy to fit his players as opposed to the other way around. And that's why you're seeing Cleveland 10 games above 500, along with Jared Allen being really good and Darius Garland being a borderline all-star next to Fred VanVleet and LaMelo Ball. They are legit.
Also, we know from a cultural standpoint, from a pedigree standpoint, this is the last thing before we let you go, the state of the Eastern Conference. I haven't checked the standings today, but I'm pretty sure at the top of the Eastern Conference standings is the Miami Heat. We talked about them earlier in the season. They had their they've had their injury struggles, their COVID struggles like everybody else. Now they're back at the Eastern Conference. We know that the betting favorite is still Brooklyn, oddly enough, despite all their issues. We know Milwaukee's going to be there at the end. The Heat are one of those organizations that's just always there at the end. So when the dust settles, it ain't that long ago they gave the Lakers a run for their money in the bubble. When the dust settles, are Jimmy Butler and the Heat, what's their chances of being the last team standing in the Eastern Conference? That's the guy I want. If I'm fighting, I'm taking Jimmy Butler with me. That's the guy I'm taking.
That's right. In a fight, definitely.
And I'll take Jimmy Butler fighting in a school fight. I'll take him fighting in the back alley. I'll take him fighting on the floor. Jimmy is batshit crazy. I believe I can say that on here.
On this show you can. Yes, absolutely. That's the first cuss word of the day, by the way. That's the first one of the day, believe it or not.
Wow, that's shocking. At 440,
there we go. 440, first one of the day. Yeah.
Jimmy is crazy, but he's competitively crazy. And when the game gets tight, he don't get tight. Like, I like that type of guy. And secondly, when I'm talking about best coaches in the NBA, 2 names come to mind: Tyronn Lue with the Clippers and Eric Spoelstra. When you're talking about taking his and beating yours, wasn't that the old Bum Phillips thing? He can take yours and beat his and take yours, that type of thing. I think that's Spo. And in a 7-game series, and you got health, and you have Kyle Lowry, and you have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and a lot of these G League players that nobody heard of finding a way to fit into what Miami does really well, in addition to Victor Oladipo still recovering from that injury last year. If he can come back and be a reasonable facsimile of himself, you've got another player that's athletic and create his own shot and play on both ends of the floor. They're almost at the point where they have too much top-level talent. They just don't have a Kevin Durant or a Giannis. But that's not a team that I'm willing to bet against, especially if all things are created equal and they got health. I'm off. I can't bet on the Brooklyn Nets with a part-time lover. I don't know. The part-time lover that I rocked with was Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the only part-time love I know. Yes.
The only part-time love, and maybe some women in my life. You know what I mean?
Or maybe a Saturday love or some Alexander O'Neal tip. You know, maybe a Saturday love, something like that. Vinny, any day, we love having you, brother. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
What was that you saying? You said some women in your life, though. Speak on that some more. You said maybe some women in your life. What were you saying?
We ain't got enough time for that.
At different points, it was, you know what I mean? Nothing right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Just trying to get me in trouble.
He'll share what he wants to share when he's ready.
He introduced it. He
did.
We got John Sawatsky tomorrow. I'm just following up. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.